Hey everybody, so this is the first day of starting solids. I'm going to do a couple of videos in the next couple days and we're going to cover a couple of different things. This is a really exciting time. It's a really messy time. I know that with my first baby, I was so excited to start solids. But waiting until your baby is developmentally ready is super important. I'm going to talk about that. And I also want to talk about how this is complementary. So even though parents are super excited and it's fun and it's messy, there are some parents that want some relief from breastfeeding or bottle feeding, and they think that this is going to be the answer. And actually a lot of parents, as a sleep consultant, I hear this a lot, that they think, giving their baby cereal or foods is going to help them sleep through the night. And that is also not true. So this is all complementary. Some people have heard the term before one, food is just for fun, and there is some truth to that. Babies, should always, this shouldn't affect the amount that you nurse or that you bottle feed. This should just be complementary. While some people do see a decrease, and I'll talk about that later on in the breastfeeding video, this is complementary. So just always think of it as complementary, and this is teaching your baby all about food, about different colors, different textures, different tastes, spicy, sweet, salty, tart, like all of these different things is going to help set your baby up for the future and their love for food. It isn't necessarily about fattening them up with all of these extra calories. That's not what starting solids is supposed to be about. Okay, so just keep that in mind moving forward. So if you are ready, that's great, but is your baby ready? So around the age of 6 months is typically, and not always, but typically when a baby is going to start showing those signs of readiness. So the first one would be, are they able to sit upright, unsupported? So that doesn't necessarily mean that they have to 100% not be a little wobbly here and there, but they need to be able to protect their airway, right? They need to be able to sit in a seat and protect their airway. It's not okay to just feed your baby in like a reclined seat. In your lap or sitting upright in a chair is how they should be fed. So if your baby's at that stage, great. Are they showing interest? So when they're on your lap or near you at family meal times, are they watching people eat? Are they starting to do motions with their mouth of chewing? Are they drooling more? Do they genuinely look interested in what you're doing and they want to be a part of it? That would be another sign. Do they have the pincer grasp? So can they pick things up? I have a pen here. Can they pick things up like this and start to bring them towards their face? So I'm going to do like a little video montage of Ellis starting solids, at around 6 months, and then it's been almost a month now, and he's still developing it. So it frustrates the hell out of my husband because food ends up everywhere. It just ends up everywhere. And very little of it actually ends up in his mouth. But it's about him developing the skill to eat, right? Like, we're humans and we're meant to eat on our own. Like, pick something up, put it to your mouth, right? We're not naturally supposed to be spoon-fed food. So them developing that ability is super important, and it may not be perfect in the beginning, and more maybe like smashing and rubbing food and going and getting it everywhere, or almost getting it and you're watching them and then it's gone. It's all part of the process. It's about them learning. Okay, but they do need to have some sort of grasping the object and trying to bring it toward their core. The tongue thrust reflex. So before 6 months, babies will naturally eject things out of their mouth with their tongue. So if you were to give a baby purees with a spoon before 6 months, most often the first few times you try, they're going to start pushing it out of their mouth, and that's to help protect their airway. It's a natural reflex they have to protect their airway. So around 6 months is when that starts to go away, allowing them to swallow food, and practice that whole process of swallowing food. What else is there? I'm trying to think. Oh, their gut. So another reason that we wait, and this isn't something you can see, but around 6 months is when their gut becomes, if you were to think of it as cheesecloth, like with tiny, tiny holes all in it, that's how their gut is, and it's very permeable, meaning it, things move from one side to the other easily, and that happens in, from newborn all the way up to around 6 months. It starts to become more finer knit and more solid to help prevent that passing back and forth. And so without getting into a whole lot of the science behind that, it's just really important for their gut and for like allergies and things like that, that you wait until around 6 months when their gut starts to become more solid and less permeable. Okay? So those are the signs to know if you're ready. So if you're listening to this, if you're like, yep, I'm ready to go, then you may be ready. And it's okay if your baby is like 7 months, 7.5 months, 8 months, and they're not showing interest. That's okay. Just continue to watch for those signs of readiness and support your baby. And remember, this is just complimentary. So, continue to breastfeed, continue to bottle feed, and eventually your baby will show interest, because I have yet to meet a person that doesn't love food. Okay, so that is a little bit about when you're ready. So people are probably wondering, like, what is baby-led weaning? Because there's different ways to start solids, okay? There are some people who start with purees. And then eventually, once they want to start introducing solids, they do like soft food, mashed food, and then they kind of gradually work their way up to solid food. That isn't the most natural way. It's the most common way, the way we were brought up, but it's biologically not the most natural way for humans to learn to eat. It's kind of going a bit backwards, like starting with just all the same texture. And even like the meat purees, they're sweetened with like, apples or bananas. Like, it's not just steak, it's like some sort of protein with it to make it tastier. And so, allowing your baby the opportunity to try different textures and to try different tastes is going to set them up for success later on in life, so that they're not as picky. Not saying this is a guarantee, because I've got some picky eaters in the family, but that's the whole idea behind it, is that we aren't naturally supposed to be spoon-fed. Okay, so baby-led weaning. When I first heard baby-led weaning, I was like, that's a little... They should have called it baby-led feeding. But weaning is a term that came from the UK, and we associate it with like weaning off something. And I think that the term and like baby-led weaning can sometimes confuse people and make people think, just like I was talking about before, that they're gonna wean off of the bottle or breast and start to eat more solids and become more person-like. And that's not the case. Remember, this is always complimentary. So don't let the name confuse you. So there's baby-led weaning, there's the gradual, and then there's also a combo, which is what I actually do. So there are times that I offer the squeeze pack pureed, and I used to make my own baby food. Now I buy my own baby food. There are times where I do offer that, but I do it in a very baby-led way, and I'll show you how I do it. And then at every single meal, my baby is given solids of whatever we're eating. And so I follow a bit of the combo. So let's talk about baby-led weaning. Essentially, because I don't want this video to be too long, essentially baby-led weaning is about making mealtime a family time, having your baby with you at, let's say it's dinner, baby's there, baby's gonna get a portion of what you are eating. So it's not, creating purees, mashing up things completely mushy. It's about giving them whole foods. So if you're eating broccoli and chicken, you would break off small pieces of chicken and some soft cooked broccoli, and you would just give it to your baby and let them suck on it, gnaw on it, things like that. Some people have asked about, giving babies who have no teeth solid foods. It just seems crazy. And actually, their gums, I don't know if you've ever been bit on the nipple by a baby that has no teeth. It still hurts. Their gums are super strong. and they can bite off chunks with their gums. And the whole point of this is that they're learning how to chew. So instead of just giving your baby purees where they just suck it back, with solids, even if they don't have teeth, they're doing a chewing motion. They're gnawing on things, they're making things soft, they're breaking things down. And so when they do get teeth, they already know how to chew. Whereas if you just start off with purees, they may not learn how to chew till later. Does that make sense? Okay. So things that I'm going to cover are going to be breastfeeding. We've already talked about when to start. I'll do a little video on what foods and some ideas. How to start. I'm gonna do like a little video montage of Ellis the past month, him eating, and you'll kind of see how we did that. I started with small portions of what we were eating, as well as other foods I thought he might be interested in, and I didn't start like with just veggies and then just fruit or just meat. We kind of gave him little bits and pieces of all these different foods, and he eventually got better at getting them to his mouth. And then I'm also going to do a video on choking. A lot of people have requested that. I know it's scary, but I'm going to review that with everyone so that hopefully you have a little more confidence in starting this process. Yeah. So that in a nutshell is kind of what baby-led weaning is about. There are tons of books that you can get. There's a really good one called the Baby-Led Weaning Cookbook. It talks about what baby-led weaning is inside of it, as well as gives you some ideas of foods to start with, and it's a cookbook for your baby. I highly recommend that one. But there are tons, and I will also attach a whole bunch of links down below that will give you some more information about this whole process. But I'm going to focus on the baby-led weaning because the starting with purees is pretty simple. You either spoon feed it or you let them suck it out of the pack. I will show you a little video on how I approach that so that it's more respectful to my baby and he can tell me when he doesn't want any more, and I'm not doing the choo-choo train and getting it in his mouth with the spoon. He's doing it himself. And then the combo, you'll just see the way that I do it. I offer both. Okay, so that's pretty much it. If I didn't cover something you wanted to know about baby-led weaning, please just comment on below and I will do my best to answer you. Sorry, excuse me. I am not a pediatrician. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a dietitian. Everyone knows hopefully what my credentials are. So this is not something I specialize in. And I always recommend that you speak to your healthcare provider or your pediatrician when you are interested in starting solids. I know that there are some pediatricians who recommend starting solids earlier, and if they do, then maybe just do some research, and if you require a second opinion, definitely ask for one. Yeah, okay, so this video, it is what it is, but speak to your healthcare provider, and the next few videos will cover the things that I talked about, and hopefully I get everyone's questions answered and we go through this process together. Thank you so much for watching my video. Remember to subscribe below and let me know, was this video helpful to you? Yes or no? Make sure you let me know in the comments if it was helpful, or if there's anything you would like to see on my page. Comment below and I will do my best to create some content for you. But again, remember, subscribe. That's how you'll keep up to date with everything I post.